Welcome to Fictionary. I'm your host, Deitra, and I'm so glad that you're here and that you are you. If this is your first time joining me, Fictionary is a place for you to sit back, relax, and escape reality for a few moments. Today, I am drinking a Wawa coffee, and if you don't have Wawa where you live, I am so very sorry for you. I mean, I get my gas there, and I get my coffee there, and they never do me wrong. And, you know, I live in New Jersey, so the Garden State, and here in the Garden State, they pump your gas for you. So, hey, and the coffee is self-serve. And I know that in this time of the COVID panoramas that people get grossed out by the idea of self-serve, but I personally prefer it because it makes me gag even more to think about somebody else adding the creamer to my coffee or touching my coffee. I'd rather do it myself, okay? This week officially ends spooky season. Woo! This weekend is Halloween and I am dressing up. I would love to see or hear about some of you guys' costumes. So this year I'm dressing up. This is a little complicated. Okay, so it's like either an alt, a goth, a vampire, or a witch. Like combination, I don't know. It's what I have around the house. So it's honestly, I really don't know which category it falls into other than me being too cheap to go to the store and buy a costume. And instead, I insist on creating something from what I have in the house. And I think about it, and growing up, we always used to make our own costumes. And so I guess it stuck with me. This is just what I am, what I do. So I'm going to give a shout out to my Mima, Mary the Fairy, for teaching me how to have fun with what you have. Because, you know, beneath this flawless skin and curly hair beat the heart of a DIY pioneer. So I guess in honor of Halloween, I'm going to list my top costumes for shits and giggles or whatever. So my favorite costumes of all time growing up were my mummy costume. This was actually not favorite costumes, but my favorite costume of all time. It was my mummy costume. And so my mom is a nurse and she brought home a whole bunch of gauze and then she wrapped me up from my head to my toes. And then I had on these little glow in the dark bracelets and necklaces and a big pair of sunglasses and then these match day glow knee socks, and it was the dopest costume ever. And I think about that costume now and it just makes me smile because I felt so cool in the costume that my mom made me, and I got so many compliments. Everybody was like, oh my god, that's such a great costume. And I was just like, yeah, we made it. So that was probably where it started, that I could make that mentality. Through the years, I've always made my costumes. So another high-ranking DIY costume that I loved, I did a zombie Queen of Hearts. We do these annual costume contests at my job, and so you can enter as a team. So my team, we did Alice in Zombieland, and guys, this was freaking amazing. First of all, we decorated everything. It was so cool. But I was the zombie Queen of Hearts, so I used a concoction of toilet paper and Elmer's glue, and I created this hole in my chest and made it all bloody, and so it looked like my heart was ripped out. And I had like a skirt, like a queenly skirt made out of tulle, and a cape and a crown. I made a scepter. Y'all, I went all in on this costume. It was amazing. I loved it so much. The next one, I think, was my zombie flapper girl costume. I don't know if you guys are seeing like a little pattern here. I take something normal and I turn it into zombie. It's great. So my zombie flapper girl costume, it's a classic. Shout out to the Roaring 20s, which we are currently reliving. Some others, I was a person being abducted by aliens. So I built this UFO that was hovering over my head and would light up, and there was like a little alien in the thing, and yeah, that one was pretty cool. Frida Kahlo, looked great with a unibrow and, you know, flower crown, unicorn, deer, because, you know, you gotta be basic sometimes. I was a walking pun. I was a Monopoly game piece. I was a Cullen, like a vampire from Twilight. I don't know. I've done like a lot of costumes. Oh, I was a hippie, but I kind of looked like Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know. It was weird. Anywho. I don't know. I've done a lot of costumes, guys. So, you know, your girl loves to play dress up. I like getting dressed up. It's fun. So let's see. So this week I have been thinking a lot about what makes me happy. And I'm sure you guys think about it too. Like, what is it in this life that makes me happy? What brings me joy? How do I feel fulfillment? And what I realized is that for like a really long time, I allowed my joy or my perception of what could bring me joy to be dictated by certain principles or guidelines that were set in place by outside influences that I was involved in. And, you know, I'm not really ready to get too deep into all of that, but maybe eventually we'll have a conversation about it. But I mean, here's the thing. I'm all for a social contract. I mean, we all share this planet, so there are certain rules of engagement that we should all adhere to. But as far as my personal joy, if I'm not hurting anyone else, then I'm going to do what I want. Like, life is too short, and I want to enjoy mine, and I want to experience it fully. And that means that I have to let go of some of these long-held beliefs that have really set in place a path for me that I realize now isn't necessarily what I would have chosen if I didn't choose to engage. Anyway, we won't get too deep into that today. Anyway, I'm a grown-ass woman, and I don't regret any part of my life, any aspect of my life. It was part of my journey, but I do know that I am more focused now than ever on finding my personal joy and my personal peace in this life. Gonna do me. Ow, ow, ow. All right. All that being said, guys, did you watch Squid Games yet? Did you? If not, I give you high five because you have been able to withstand the force of the world telling you to watch this show. But if you have not, I'm just going to say it one more time. Watch it. It's so good. Ugh, it's so good. I love it so much. And I just want to talk to somebody about it because it was so good. Anyway, since it's Halloween, I am going to close out our spooky season with a spooky story. And it was written by yours truly, moi. It's longer than my usual stories that I share. I usually do like the 100-word stories, but it's still a short story. But this was actually my induction, my first experience, popping my cherry in writing competitions. And so, you know, they give you the prompts and everything. You have a certain number of words that you can write, and then boom, you go. So I wrote this story. It's a story that I really enjoyed and love, and I hope maybe eventually to expand upon it. But anyway, I hope that you guys like it. Enjoy. Ooh. I guess it's kind of spooky. All right. We'll get into the story. How to Steal a Life. The mundanities of modern life with the endless screens, office etiquette, text messages, microwaved foods, and social media meet-cutes create the perfect hunting grounds for a creature like me. My work is almost done for me by the time I find my next willing supplicant. They are so deadened inside to the beautiful gift that life affords them that my offer seems like a merciful liberation. Like parolees released on the capricious whims of some cruel warden, They give their bodies to me with benedictions of praise falling from their lips. I offer them the thing they all want: escape. Escape from the endless monotony. Escape from the lackluster thrill of living. Escape from the crippling loneliness and fear. All they need to do is let go. In exchange, I am given the thing I most desire: life. For days, weeks, and sometimes months, I live again, not just hovering on the outskirts like some insignificant vapor, but fully and truly live. The thing they no longer desired is mine. And damn, do I make the most of it. I eat, I fuck, I jump out of planes, I donate ridiculous sums of money to random charities. I have gone to Uganda with Doctors Without Borders. I have stood in front of an armed man and saved a family. I have robbed banks. I have visited every continent and learned 13 different languages. I have been women, men, and everything on the spectrum. When you've been dead for as long as I have, you do not hold back when you get the chance to live again. It seems that lately it has been easier and easier to find willing participants in my devil's deal. I used to be between bodies for so long that I feared I would waste away to nothing. Now, the longest I go is a few days or weeks at most. My longer periods are accounted for in my hunting. I can afford to be picky with the veritable smorgasbord of lives just begging to be claimed. People today just do not have the same gumption they did in my day. At the very least, the puritanical adherence to the Gospels prevented people from willingly allowing my lost soul access to their bodies. I have been subjected to more holy water and priest than I would care to mention. Now, though, people do not believe in anything. They do not really care about anything. They are so consumed by the mind-numbing superficialities of this society that they barely put up a fight when I approach them. Which brings me to my current quarry. I have a taste for something new. Some days it seems that, like a wild dog, I have sucked all the marrow from existence and there's nothing left of substance for me to partake in. But then I think of the unfortunates I have tricked, and I know that the alternative is not for me. The deterioration and eventual evaporation of a soul is a pathetic sight, and the one experience I do not relish nor desire. With these thoughts in mind, I am currently hunting a man named Bartholomew Bannister. Judging by his painfully alliterative name, his issues began early on. Some might say that hunting is too strong a word for what I do. The corporeally blessed tend to refer to it as haunting. I strongly disagree. Haunting is far too tame. A ghostly apparition floats around trapped in an endless loop, terrifying unwitting fleshwalkers that are unfortunate enough to cross its path. It takes a tremendous amount of patience and skill to hunt a soul. First, you must select your quarry. Second, you observe them, learning the most intimate details of their lives. Next, you convince them through your extensive powers of persuasion. Finally, you grab a hold of and claim what they so willingly discard. I am not merely a connoisseur, I am an apex predator. I am not some silly old wives' tale you can disperse of by throwing salt at your doorways. There is no art to choosing a random person from the street. One must exercise discretion when selecting their prey. Only the tastiest of morsels will do. Bartholomew is exactly that. He is an early childhood psychologist who specializes in addiction and recovery. He works mainly with preteens, and I have to say his hypocrisy is astounding. Mr. Bannister has a predilection for pornography. Not just any pornography either. Our little Bartholomew likes to watch pornography involving young children. I discovered Bartholomew in my last body. I inhabited a father who regularly brutalized his young daughter. He was a true beast, and I relished taking his body as my own. He hated himself and his life, so by the time he met me, he was ready to go. When I finally approached him, he was staring into space blankly as he loaded a 9mm magazine with exactly 3 bullets. One for his wife, one for his daughter, and one for himself. I rather enjoyed taking him and watching his soul waste away to nothing. I use the bodies as I wish. I enjoy a good bacchanal as much as the next, but my one rule of engagement is do no harm. My only commandment led me to Bartholomew as I took the daughter to see another psychologist in his practice. He could barely restrain the look of abject hunger and desperation in his eyes as he watched her walk into the office. I knew he would be my next. For a psychologist, Bartholomew really has a lot of hang-ups. I will never understand how this man was able to enter his profession. He is truly a wolf in sheep's clothing. Soon, I will be the wolf, but he is far from an innocent sheep. Currently, I am floating near the ceiling of his swanky apartment and watching him as he obsessively downloads filth to an external hard drive and then attempts to clean the history on his laptop. It is pathetic. I float closer and whisper in his ear, "Today is the day." He shivers, looks around, and continues with his task uneasily. I float away, offended by the putridness of his essence. He owns a little gray and white cat that apparently cannot abide his presence either. The little cat hides beneath the couch and will not come out even when he calls plaintively for it, attempting to lure it out with the promise of treats. I imagine the poor thing shuddering in disgust. The other day, the cat shit in his shoes, and Bartholomew went into a rage. He flipped a table trying to get to the cat, and it hissed and scratched him deeply on his hand. Bartholomew actually cried. If I could laugh, this would have been the time. I have followed Bartholomew to work, and the chameleon-like adaptation is alarming. No one would guess that he is anything other than what he presents to the world. In his office, he is Dr. Bannister. Here, he cares for the children under his supervision. He gives them guidance and helps them overcome the great trials of their lives. With clinical precision, he diagnoses root issues and helps his patients develop treatment plans and strategies. He never crosses any lines in his office. I have watched him for a few days now, and unless you were a predator like me, you would never glimpse the darkness beneath his professional and kind exterior. However, the monster is there, lurking and waiting to kill, steal, and destroy. Bartholomew is like so many of the other bodies I have taken. Honestly, people never know what they have until a ghostly apparition hunts them down and steals it for themselves. If he so chose, he could have the world at his feet. He is wickedly intelligent. He is good-looking by the current standards of male beauty. He has familial wealth. His parents are good people. He has had every opportunity in life, and yet he revels in his own depravity. Some might say he's sick. Some might have a modicum of sympathy for him. I have none. I know what true evil is, and Bartholomew has embraced it and made it his bedmate. His original plan was to take his neighbor's 7-year-old daughter today and finally indulge in his darkest obsessions. I have been with him for 5 days, and during this time I have dedicated myself to implanting the idea to end it all tonight, to go out with a bang, to take the girl and then to finish himself. What he does not realize is that instead, I will be taking him, and I will watch him disappear into the ether forever. He has finished his downloads and is packaging his hard drive into a padded envelope. I watch as he carefully writes an address on the label and adheres it to the package. There's no name, just an address. Kazan, Russia. Interesting. Obviously, a fellow comrade in his army of perversion. For some reason I can't understand myself. I commit the address to memory. I follow Bartholomew out of his house as he visits a 24-hour UPS store. He ships the package and then goes to a liquor store. He buys an impressively priced bottle of scotch and tells the cashier that he is celebrating. I know what he is celebrating. He's been marking down the days on his desktop calendar. Today is circled in vivid red ink. The paper of the calendar is torn in places because he has gone around and around the date compulsively. Today is the day. I will take what he is throwing away and make it mine. He doesn't deserve it anyway. I trail along behind him, watching him make his way back to his home. He smiles at people and gives the obligatory head nods, and they respond in kind with no idea of the monster they are entertaining. As I pass them, people involuntarily shudder or clutch their throats. Of course, they notice me, but they think Bartholomew is just like one of them. Silly, unobservant fools. I give Bartholomew a rough push from behind and snarl in his ear. He stumbles and looks around in fright. Good. People are looking at him with a little more caution now. We enter his home, and I begin my assault anew. I do not hold back. I pull out all of my greatest tricks. I cause the temperature to drop to levels so low that Bartholomew's breath begins to show as he rapidly breathes in and out. Excellent. He's getting nervous. I watch as he approaches the thermostat and pushes several buttons, trying to reset it. His hands are shaking like an inept maraca player. I float by, brushing against him, and I whisper, "It won't work." He jumps and shouts an expletive. He runs to the kitchen counter and sets the scotch down. I watch as he shakily opens the bottle and places his rotten mouth directly on it and begins guzzling like a man dying of thirst. This is not the first time I have had fun with Bartholomew, but tonight will be the last. My patience is gone. I swing and knock the bottle from his hand. It clatters to the ground and Bartholomew jumps back and grabs a knife from the block. I glare at the bottle and cause it to spin wildly, splashing overpriced scotch all over the floor. To his credit, Bartholomew seems to realize the knife is pointless. I told you he was intelligent. He puts it down on the counter and begins speaking to the air. He asks the usual questions. Who are you? Why are you doing this to me? Am I going crazy? As he speaks, he backs up into a corner and slides down the wall to the floor. I move in closely and blow a long, slow blast of icy air into his face. He pisses himself right there on the kitchen floor. He is shaking and tears are streaming down his face as he mumbles incoherently. The days leading up to this moment have been worth it. Following this filth, observing him in his element, whispering sweet nothings in his ears as he slept, and playing little tricks on him during his waking hours have all led up to this moment. I feel strange and powerful. I feel reborn, and I have not even taken his body yet. I have done this so many times, but it has never felt like this. I am a different creature. I am vengeance. I am justice. I feel like a punishing god of old, filled with this unfathomable sense of power. I speak. You are worthless. He nods. You are an ungrateful fool. You have wasted this life. He nods again and sniffles loudly, wiping ineffectually at the snot oozing from his nose. You are a monster. You don't deserve to live. I howl these words as my essence vibrates through the space in powerful waves of righteous rage. He agrees with me, shaking in abject misery. I wrap myself around him and begin to push. Give me this body. I feel him release. No fight, no pushback, nothing at all. 1 minute he is there, and the next, I am. I stretch out, feeling the newness of this body. I stand and feel the piss sliding down my legs. I look around and I see him floating in the corner. He is a smoky gray mist, fading in and out of strange facsimiles of his old human form. I know that this one will not last long, but I hope that he lasts long enough to see what I do to his life. When I am done, the world will know him as the disgusting trash he is. I will make sure his secret hobby is revealed to everyone before my time is up in this body. When I leave, the body will die, but I do not want him to be remembered as Dr. Bannister, the saint. I want the world to know his sins and revile him for them. I slowly strip away the dirty clothing encasing my temporary home as Bartholomew continues to seize in and out of different forms. It looks painful and brings a wicked smile to my face. I was looking for something new, and as is my usual habit, I have landed squarely on my feet. I head to the bathroom to shower and see that the little kitten is trailing happily behind me. I have gone through a metamorphosis, and like some ghastly butterfly, I have emerged from my cocoon as a new beast entirely. In the endless eternity ahead of me, I see so much potential, something people like Bartholomew have never been able to see. I cannot wait for what is to come. Until next time, Das Vidania. The end. Yeet! Alright guys, I hope that you enjoyed this story. Like I said, it's a little bit longer than my usual ones, but it was one that I entered into the competition. I actually got first place in that round. I didn't win the competition, but in that round against everybody that I was up against, I came in first and I had excellent confidence. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I will see you guys next week. We will be starting our November podcast. And then for December, I'm going to take a hiatus for the month of December and then be back in January. I'm moving in December, so I need to make some time for all of that. And so I'll have some pre-recorded episodes. We'll see. Maybe I won't have a break. Maybe I will. But the plan is that there will be a little break and then we'll come back with season 2 of Fictionary. But all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And like I said, we'll be back next week. We'll have some new original stories for you. And, you know, we have coming out next month, we also have Brittany Gathing's first book. So we'll be talking about that. Then we also have Shantae Oliver. Her book is coming up soon. So maybe we'll have them back on. Maybe we'll do like a triple interview and have all 3 of us chat. I think that sounds like fun. I haven't even talked to them about it, but I'm just throwing that out there as something I would like to see happen. But anyway, love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye. Until next time, keep on reading.